My name is Sir Ryan O'Neill Knight, the founder of Detailing Nights and the chairman and president of the Afro-Caribbean Business
My
Network.
business is Kofi's Arts. Hi, my name is Kenneth Poppett and I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah, I'm NFP Arthur, and I'm executive producer of the TV show Caribbean Vibrations.
My name is Stephen Spencer, and I'm the owner of Animative Space.
I'm Alexander, work with CPN Financial, wealth management advisor.
Felix Flexible Trades Cabrera, and I'm a DJ.
Colin Williams, Gospel Cafe, Restoring Arts.
My name is Robert Small. I'm an artist of Legacy Enterprises and the founder of African Canadian Entrepreneurs for Success.
It's basically being able to create your own income and creating generational wealth for future generations, having something for your family to build on.
Ownership, like not having to rely on another company to pretty much determine your destiny and really having it in your own hands.
Providing a deeper purpose for your life, because every day is your own and your destiny, like it was said earlier, that the destiny is in your hands to create your own legacy.
So entrepreneurship allows you to create your own parameters. It allows you to create like your own world.
Entrepreneurship deals with a lot of passion. So if you have passion for what you want to do, you can create it yourself with entrepreneurship.
But it's also embracing something that hasn't been embraced by our children, by previous generations of our family, that our grandparents and parents had to work for somebody. But by us demonstrating that you can work for yourself and the freedom that comes with it, I think sets a great precedent for our children to emulate.
So the ability to work for yourself, be your own boss, make your own decisions, live and die off the decisions that you make, and it's being absolute. Being absolute meaning that you're just able to just jump into something and you sink or you swim, or you feel you succeed, but the end outcome of your life is 100% on your own head.
No. You see, I say yes. I feel like everyone can have a side hustle. It might not take, but I feel like you can be coached through starting your own thing. Like, let's say a Shopify store. You can go to a workshop and learn how to open a Shopify store and make an extra $500 a month. Sure, you might not start like a multi-million-dollar business, but just to have that extra bonus money, I think you can teach that.
I agree, but I mean that it's different with being an entrepreneur. That's more of having a hobby.
Yeah.
And I think that for some people, that whether we believe it or not, some people lead and other people like to be led. And not in a bad way that they're sheep, but I've worked for people who've inspired me, and I've wanted to work 15 hours for that guy because I believe in his vision and I see his passion. And I feel that as entrepreneurs, that's what we do for other people, where they'll see and they're like, oh, I like what he's doing, or I like what Ryan's doing. So they come and they usually become, when you build your senior management, because they're there with you, they see your passion. So not everybody's an entrepreneur, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. I don't know what he's saying is the value of what you value, right? For example, you might not be an entrepreneur because you're a family-oriented person. To be an entrepreneur, you have to put in 10 to 15-hour days. You might be giving up going to recitals. You might be giving up everything else for your family just to build this particular business. You might even end up sacrificing your entire family for that business and what you're doing. So it's not for everybody. There's a lot of give and take that comes with the entrepreneurial aspect. For example, you might even another reason is with a job, it comes with a fixed income. Entrepreneurial does not come with that. There are days where you might be wondering where your next paycheck is coming from, how are you going to pay rent, how are you going to pay staff, how are you going to do all of this with that. And a lot of people cannot handle the stress that comes with that.
But I think we always ask the question, like, is everybody made to be an entrepreneur? But we should reverse it and say, is everybody really up to working full time? And if we put that question to it, like, all of our friends don't want to be going to the job they are, so maybe they're not equipped to be full time, because the same amount of stress. You're not in. You might be getting a constant paycheck, but you're not in control of your destiny. But we have the flexibility of doing things whenever we feel like it. And I would endorse the Shopify element, because it's a hobby when you're getting zero money for it, right? But when you're making money out of it, you're making steps. Because when I first sold my first 3 or 4 posters, I was just surprised someone wanted it, right? Beyond me and my parents, right? Yeah, and they were willing to pay for it. And then gradually, when I was making, I think, $8,000 off of something I was doing just flippantly, I said, I'm getting 40 grand at my job, and got 8 off of this, and my job has me all day, and I'm doing this like just because I like it, right? So I took the leap, and meanwhile back to the ranch, it's like 25 years, and I haven't looked back. Right?
It's not about wanting to be an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur is different than what we're talking about. I'm talking about the entrepreneur. I have a friend who is a physical therapist. She's not an entrepreneur, but she's a physical therapist, so she works with the Olympic team. So it's not that she did it, that's what she does, right? So I mean, she's not really concerned about being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, and that's what I'm saying, it's not for everybody, and it's not a bad thing, right? It's just because everybody is around in different things. Like for example, if you look at a team, there's someone who's the quarterback, and they're still good at what they do. So if someone doesn't be an entrepreneur, it's not a bad thing. And I don't want us to think that, because we have our friends who do the 9 to 5, and they're good at it, and they like it. They could be an entrepreneur. I have friends who should be making more money, but it's not about the passion. It's just not. That's what they want to do.
So this idea that not everybody can be an entrepreneur is really based on what people think or the perception of what an entrepreneur is. So in terms of like everybody being an entrepreneur, right now it's not possible. But what does it mean to battle that and make it that everybody can be an entrepreneur with the resources and the accessibility that we may have, or the people that we connect to, and how do we share those resources and those accessibilities?
I feel like, what are we gonna tell our children? So our children are now growing up, and my mom would always say, get a good government job, go to school, blah, 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 and work for the man 9 to 5. And my dad had kind of had the entrepreneur itch. And then so he always said, you know what? If you want to be rich, you have to work for yourself. He's been working for the same company for 25 plus years, and he knows that his earning is capped. So when I look at my children, I don't want to tell them or give them a cap of their potential.
Being in corporate, I was in corporate for 27 years, making really good money, but I was never happy. So I kind of get to the point where, as we talk, it's really about your gifting. Everyone is born with something in them. That's just a passion of something that you want to do. And I worked for McDonald's corporate as a consultant for, as I said, 27 years, making the 6-figure. But there was days I was really sad, even making all that money. And then one day I was like, that's it. I was in Philly at a conference. I heard someone spoke. And I was like, okay, I'm done.
Like that.
Spoke to my wife, and she was just, what's wrong with you?
Yes.
What about the kids? What about the benefits? What about this? And I was like, I was gonna go after my passion and my gift. And that's how the Gospel Cafe was birthed. So I took everything that I'd saved and worked for and invested in that business. I've been in there now 8 years. We have extended that to a charity that we run in Jamaica for the past 10 years. And now we've recently acquired a food truck. So it's got to be something in you that's driving you. It cannot be money. Because I think a lot of times we're going after money.
Yeah.
Now
The illusion of having.
I went after my gift, I went after what I love, and guess what? It's making me money.
You have more control and more responsibility to yourself. As an employee, you're responsible for carrying out somebody else's vision. As an entrepreneur, you're carrying out your vision. And to me, just to touch on what you're saying with your kids, not just teaching them the value of being an entrepreneur versus being an employee, you're also setting up a legacy that you could pass on to your kids. When you talk about, in terms of wealth building, it's very hard to do that as an employee. But if you can create assets for yourself through your business, that's something that you can take and pass on to your kids.
When it comes to entrepreneurship versus being an employee, sometimes being an employee, you actually get to do what you want to do, because that's what you're hired to do. When you're in entrepreneurship, you're taking on multiple roles. For example, you might start off and say, I want to be an artist and I'm going to paint. But then you have to figure out a way to promote this paint, sell this paint, get your paintings around the world. And then it becomes such a multifaceted job that you might not end up getting to do what you want to do. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to accept that, because it's not just one role where you're just following your passion and that's it at the end of the day, because you still have to figure out how you're going to do this and cover everything. And in the beginning stages, you might not be able to hire people. So that's going to be one of the hardest parts of it, figuring out the balance.
I think the difference between an entrepreneur and an employee is the fact that, yeah, one day you can make $0, but then the next day, hey, someone might say, hey, you want to do this project for $4,000? And I go, hey, why not, right? It makes up for the days that you do nothing, right? So it's the unpredictability of tomorrow that really drives me. So when I go to bed, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, well, what's tomorrow going to bring, right? Because you can get a random call, or something that wasn't on the plate 2 weeks ago is now on the plate, or you have this proposal into a person and you're looking at like more money than you ever dreamed of, but from a proposal that you couldn't explore if you were working for somebody, because you'd have to turn down because they're 9 to 5.
The idea that even being an employee might even be bad is like, or like you should always strive to be an entrepreneur. I think sometimes, or even most times, the difference is your environment. So if you work in an environment where it's supportive, the culture is great, and you like going to work, your boss is dope, you hang out after work, you guys are all cool, then I don't mind being an employee. You give me raises when I'm doing well, it's flourishing, we're all cool, and I'm secured, that's fine, right? And then entrepreneurship, again, we're creating our own parameters, but the unpredictability depending on where you are in life, like you said that you had savings, you worked in the corporate world, and you talked to your wife, she thought you were crazy, but you guys were still good. That you were able to do that, versus if someone is just starting out a family, or like they might not have all the savings for you to like quit your job and say I'm going to be an entrepreneur, right? That's why a lot of us, and also in the climate that we're in right now, especially living in Toronto where everything is like a gajillion dollars, it's really like everyone has your full-time and a side hustle. It's like, if you're seriously unhappy at your job, that for me comes first. Like if you are seriously unhappy, I believe that if you release yourself from that to like take care of yourself, then things will fall into like, it'll be a hell of a struggle, but things will fall into place eventually.
Another statement that kind of guides me all the time from when I started is that you can always get money, but you can't get back time, right? You know, once the time's gone, it's gone. I have friends that are earning way more than me, but when I look at their hair is all gray, right? And I'm like going like, dang, you're under stress, brother, right? You know, we're the same age. I'm like looking like their younger brother, right? You know, so I think that you really have to consider like quality of life, you know, and your own health as well, which is an issue with black men in general. And then also when we're talking about kids, it's also not sacrificing your dream at the cost of your children, right? Because I think sometimes, you know, you have to dedicate so much time that you overlook that time is passing by with them, and suddenly they're 19 years old and they don't really know you. Now, you don't want that. You don't want to say, hey, I'm earning all this money. Hey, kids, don't you like this? And they're looking at your business with scorn, right? Because they know that it happened at the cost of them, right? So I think we have to be, as black men, we have to be privy of that and not allow that to happen, because that's a bigger loss, and no amount of money can get back the time that you lost with that.
I remember when I was working at a financial institution, I knew exactly when my breaks were, when I was going to take lunch, when I was going to go out and have a good time. Whereas with an entrepreneur, you just don't know. You know, there's things that you really got to focus on during the day. And as far as the fear of the unknown, it's basically tackling that.
When you work in your 9 to 5, you're guaranteed an income, but it's the risk factor. And if you look at an entrepreneur, that's what he talks about, the risk of starting a business. So if you're really not sure about what it is that you want to do, then fear is going to overtake you.
There's self-confidence and faith in yourself, right? I don't know too many employees that if I didn't ask them today, if you 100% knew that you can follow whatever your passion is and succeed next week, would you still be there?
One of my favorite elements is your ability to create opportunities for yourself and your people, basically. Your people meaning your family and your community. A lot of times, I think this was mentioned earlier, we chase the money when really, when you're able to create opportunities and pull in resources, that could actually be worth more than money.
Around your brand, like building that reputation in the community. And before, like, the media was very skewed to one spectrum, and now having a platform like Caribbean Vibrations where you can put your business on there and they're creating a new stereotype. So when people think of a certain service, they think of you. Like with our car cleaning, a lot of times people call us and be like, oh, a friend of mine needed their car cleaned, and all I could think about is detailing nights. Like, you're the only person I could think of. So beyond just the sales, being able to build that brand in the community and have that, really that impact that people know what you do and who you are.
I think also learning from others around you is an asset, you know, with respect to social legacy. You know, so if you just watch and you just, you know, even in your casual instances, you can learn from other people. While I'm an artist like Kofi, like I have to be proud of him doing it on site, because that's something I wouldn't do, right? You know, so there's a lot of times that you can just watch other people and learn from them and take what they're doing in order to empower yourself to do the same thing.
Right? So for example, I owned a car wash company before, right? Or a detailing. So I detailed cars my entire life at the university, scrub, shampoos, wax, the whole nine deal. I got a contract with AutoShare. So I didn't want to be in the B2C consumer market for cleaning, because I was doing it for a while. Then I'm like, not hate doing the customers, but I'm like, how can I do something different, right? Right. So I walked up to AutoShare, and AutoShare, Zipcar AutoShare. I'm like, so listen, I want to clean 400 of your cars, and I'll do that 20 a pop.
Yes.
Done. Got the contract. Not as simple as that, but high level.
Entrepreneurship allows you to define who you're going to be when you do business, and also tell me who I can and cannot do business with, and be okay to say I'm not going to do business with this person. Like, so the thing is, some people will do business with certain people just because of numbers, because of branding, because of whatever, money. But if you're okay to be like, I'm good enough that I don't need you, regardless if I'm struggling right now, whatever, because I'm stuck in my values, or I stay in my values, to say who I'm going to do business with. If you're not good for me, you're not good for me. And you can make all the millions, you can have a million followers, I don't care. If you are the type of person that is going to do these types of things in the name of business, I'm not going to do business with you.
I'm in the entertainment industry, so I meet all kinds. And there are certain people that I do not work with, just because of the exact thing that he said, where it's like, they've never done me nothing, but I've seen enough to know I don't need to work with them.
And then guess what? You have to teach others. And as you said, we can't just keep it to ourselves. And that's why we're doing this. Because there's other people out there who are struggling right now, and they need that help. They need that support. So we have to, what's our win-win? What do we do? And how can we teach the young ones that are coming? You know, you're in real estate, I'm in the restaurant business, but guess what? We're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So I want to be open to learn more and more. So yeah, challenges. You know, in the Chinese language, they have no word for crisis. The word crisis is opportunity. You know what I mean? So look at it. Look at everything that comes as a crisis. There's an opportunity.
A lot of times, like for the longest, we've been pushing this narrative of work hard. When really, I believe that we should be pushing the narrative of work smart.
What does that look like, though, my brother?
Working smart, doing your research, understanding your market, understanding your product, yourself, and the way you view, I guess, challenges, setbacks, and mistakes, how you can turn that around to work in your favor, as opposed to just, you know, doing the same thing and making the same mistakes and never learning from it.
Challenges will happen, and if you don't learn from your challenges and understand what got you to that position and then adapt and learn, then you're going to run yourself out of business, right? So when businesses fail, it's from lack of adaptation to those challenges.
When I graduated from university, one of the first jobs I got was at a call center at Bell Canada. You're doing outgoing calls.
Yes.
And it was the most stressful. Yes, you made money, but it was one of the most stressful jobs I ever had. That was the first time I knew what depression was in life, because you're waking up, like, you're literally, your life is like this. From Saturday to Wednesday, you're depressed. From Wednesday night, you're 100% happy. By Thursday, you're 75%. Friday, 50, it's just on the decline until Saturday, you're just depressed. And it got to the point where I got fired, but it was the happiest firing I ever got in my life, because he was If this is what it means to make money, there's a million other things I could do. And I've learned, no, money isn't everything. That was, like, after that, I was like, no.
If I'm gonna fail, I can pull myself back up. Because when a company says goodbye, it's just game over. But if you're struggling as an entrepreneur and you know what you can do to fix it, that's where you can build yourself up. And you never really feel like it's game over. You just feel like, man, I hit some crazy turbulence, but there are clear skies beyond this.
Mentorship is so important. When I started this business, it was totally like off the cuff. We had an idea for a show. I knew someone who was a camera guy, I knew who was an editor, shot it, gave it to somebody, we got on. It was just simple like that, right? And then, but no clue about tax credits, about this in production, about getting NDAs, all these things. Having a mentor is so important, especially, and I've been trying to find, like a mentor, like especially when you're talking about scalability and doing what I want to do as a business. Because there's certain knowledge you have, but there's nothing better than someone who's been through it and can help you. Because again, those challenges you're talking about, you're gonna face them.
And I would agree with the mentorship because straight out of university, I was like listening to Louis Farragut tapes at the University of Windsor and everything. And I landed like working with a black company called Black Pages. And I was going, wow, straight out the gate, I'm working for a black person, and just working for them kind of set the template for what I'm doing now.
Like when you get in front of a person that is doing what you want to do, but doing it on a higher scale, and then you're thinking you know a lot until they give you this pinch of salt. And most people, and they always say like a success is like a razor's edge away. So even Usain Bolt, the person that came in second place, is like 0.02 behind him. His whole life will remember knowing that he was only 0.02 behind the fastest man on the planet, right? So the pinch of salt is what gets you boom.
Connect with people and pull resources. Like, what do you have and how can we exchange or how can we help each other? Because I mean, I don't got money, right? But I'm working towards that. And what are other ways that we can work together that doesn't necessarily have to be an exchange of currency?
And I feel like this is one of my life missions, is how to bring us all together to have that pool of capital, whether it's in a black credit union, whether it's just a co-op, but somehow when we need it, there's a safe place to go to get it, and a safe place to go to get support around what you need to do with your business in order to come correct and get it.
It's important that as entrepreneurs that we trust each other too, and take on the responsibility that we have to build our community to another level. Because often people start saying, all we have is patty shops and barber shops and everything. I go, yeah, that's what we have, because the next generation, our parents came and they established the necessary things, the supermarkets, the barbershops and such like that. But what did our generation contribute to say, hey, that's what our contribution did.
So whether you call it mental or spiritual guidance, or an opportunity to go and actually have a conversation with someone, not necessarily about money and business, but about your own self-care. Yes, self-care and taking heed of your own spirit, because everyone has a vice, everyone has addictions, everyone has these things that they're struggling with themselves, and until you correct and fix that stuff, no matter what you do on the outside, that's gonna be your destruction anyways, right?
When you hear the word entrepreneurship, what's one word that comes to mind?
Power.
Resilience.
Passion.
Risk taker.
Family.
Perseverance.
Legacy.